Hey guys, Brad with Family Handyman. If you've got a big chunk of wood that you need to flatten, you don't need industrial sized equipment to do it. All you need is a special jig for your router called a gantry. So to get started, we have to make a platform that's big enough to house the stock we're working with. And I'm going to do that out of MDF, and what I'm going to do is just cut a base, and then I'm going to build up two sides. So it's not really a box, it's just a base with rails. And I'm going to build up those sides using strips of MDF. That way I can lower the router just by removing a pair of strips. So let's get going. Start with a piece of 3/4 inch MDF that's a couple inches larger than your workpiece in both length and width. Build up two rails to support the gantry using 2-inch wide strips of 3/4 inch MDF. Just stack these, tacking them in place with screws or brad nails so you can easily remove them as you decrease the thickness of your workpiece. Alright, so we've got our platform made with the rails built up to the height we need for the stock. Now we're going to build the gantry, which is going to slide along the rails carrying our router. Construct the gantry as shown using 3/4 inch MDF. The gantry's length depends on the distance between your platform's rails. It should be just long enough to allow the overhanging keepers to slide freely along the rails. So we've got our gantry built, slides really nice, and so the next thing we got to do is set the stock on the platform. Use some shims and blocks to hold it in place and keep it steady, keep it from wiggling, not only for safety, but just so the thing stays put. To do this, wedge shims underneath the stock to keep it from teetering while you're routing. Use 3/4 inch MDF blocking screwed to the platform to keep the stock from sliding. So we've got our router bit in our router here, and all you need is any large diameter bit that creates a flat surface. And this one happens to be from a door making kit that I had. Set the gantry in place, set your router on the gantry, and set the router's cutting depth to remove about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 inch of material. This first pass might only remove a small high spot or two. Alright, so we've got one side nice and flat. Now we're just going to flip it over and block it into place and bring it to the thickness that we want. After cutting everything to that depth, lower the bit another 1/8 to 1/4 inch and proceed as you did earlier until the whole side is flattened. In order to get the router to drop down a little further, I'm going to take off the top row of these rails. I couldn't get enough depth for cutting with my router's dust port attached, so I had to go without. This is very dusty work, so wear a mask. Okay, so we got both sides flattened out nice. Next step is to sand everything smooth. After flattening, you'll sand your workpiece. The sanding process takes some time. Because this piece was all end grain, the router bit left some directional tracks that I needed to sand out with an aggressive grit on the belt sander before moving to finer grits on a random orbit sander. After sanding, I applied 3 coats of my favorite finish, General Finishes Gel Top Coat Polyurethane. To finish up, I added hairpin legs to turn this big crosscut into a cool coffee table. Pretty simple project, and that's the cool thing about having something like a gantry for your router. It's easy, it's effective, and it doesn't cost a whole lot of money. And for more cool projects like this, visit us at familyhandyman.com.